Are you nervous?
Yes!
Why?
Of course. I'm Cynthia Meier, and I'm a member of the Rogue Acting Ensemble.
And did you always want to be an actor growing up?
The first thing I remember wanting to be was a visual artist. I always loved people who could paint and draw, and like every summer I would go to art classes. I would also, when I was in first grade, I'd gather all my friends together and we'd put on puppet shows for the kindergartners. So it was always something that I loved to do, create theater, but it wasn't ever specifically about being an actor. It was about creating theater and creating art. Yeah.
And it sounds like even community.
Even what?
Community.
Yes, yeah. It was all about doing it with other people. Doing it with other people. It was all about creating art with other people. A couple of really formative experiences for me. One was there was a marionette troupe that came to our elementary school. I was enthralled. The puppets were really beautiful, and the whole, the everything being dark except for this little stage where the puppets were telling a story, that really had a big effect on me. And then when I was in 7th grade, we went to the Hillberry Theater in downtown Detroit and saw Romeo and Juliet, and that too was, oh my gosh, But again, it wasn't, I never had that moment of that's what I want to do as an actor. It was always, oh, this is the kind of art that I love. I went to Eastern Michigan University, and I double majored actually in speech and drama and English literature. I always loved school. I wanted to triple major. I wanted to also get a major in anthropology. I've always loved learning, and I've always loved school. But my acting training per se wasn't what a lot of the members of the ensemble had. I didn't have specific. I took an acting class, but I also took stagecraft and costume design and theater management, and I was a real generalist. My real training as an actor came through performance. If I wasn't doing a main stage play at Eastern Michigan, I was doing the studio series. I was also on the speech team, which wasn't just public speaking, it was also interpretive events. And I also went to performance festivals. There was another aspect of our program there where we did performance of literature at festivals. So for 4 years, every weekend I was performing. And so that's where I really got my training. Through my master's degree, I did more directing. And then for my PhD, even though I was working on a adaptation of poetry to the stage for my dissertation, I kept going over to the drama department here at the U of A and kept auditioning for plays and being cast in plays. So it's always been learning by doing. Joe and I met in 2001 or 2002, and we were doing a play reading for Old Pueblo Playwrights, and we
that takes me back.
Yeah, and we were sitting outside. We were going to do it at the Arizona Theater Company rehearsal hall, and we were sitting outside on that second floor next to the elevator on a bench, and he turned to me and said, "Would you like to do A Moon for the Misbegotten?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'd love to do A Moon for the Misbegotten. I've always wanted to do A Moon for the Misbegotten." And I didn't know Joe very well, and I thought he was some big producer who was going to put me in a production of A Moon for the Misbegotten. And what happened is we just decided to get together on Monday nights I was working at Pima College at the time, and he'd come over to Pima College, we'd find an empty classroom, and we worked on Act 2 from A Moon for the Misbegotten, which is a beautiful, beautiful and sad love scene. And so we would just read it and rehearse it, and eventually we performed it for Patrick Baliani's class. They read the play, and we went to the class and performed it. But over the course of, we met for almost a year every Monday night working on the play, and over the course of the year we began to talk as much as we did rehearse. And we talked about what we thought the theater could be and what we loved about theater. And eventually Joe said, if we're going to continue to do this, we should get some other people involved. And it's really, that's how the Rogue started. I mean, there were several ingredients there. One was our friendship, Joe's and my friendship. Another ingredient was our both of us loving to act and to take on characters and be in plays. Our love of really, really good plays. There were also, we had this set of skills. I had this administrative background and costuming, and Joe had this scenic design. Just about everything we'd ever learned in our whole lives came together, and it was a really nice blending of two different sets of talents. So that's how it started.
When do you feel like the Rogue hit its stride, or really became the organization we know it as today?
Certainly when we moved into the historic Y, into the space we're in now, that was a huge step, and that's really where we became, I feel like, a cogent theater company that wasn't just, doing plays here and there. Although before we moved in here, we did The Goat, which was a really profound experience for both us and I think our audiences. People really responded to that, and that's where a lot of our current donors and board members and came from, was seeing that production of The Goat, and that was before we moved in here. But then when we moved in here, audiences began to come, and then I'd say another big step was establishing the acting ensemble, so that we had this group of people who we were creating with all the time.
Everyone always says that the Rogue is the house that the Goat built.
Yeah.
I think you told me a little bit of what that means, but what was that like? I
remember the Goat being really scary when we chose the play, and one of the key lines was, "I'm f***ing a goat." We thought, I don't know, can you bleep that? I don't know. I remember one of my most vivid tactile memories is we borrowed a taxidermied goat from a theater company in Seattle. They had done a production of it, and they had a taxidermied goat. And I remember when it came and we opened the lid and there was a dead goat. I remember touching it and thinking, there's no way I'm going to carry this on stage. There's one role that I wish that I had played in my lifetime that I haven't played, which is Medea. And Joe said to me, you played Medea, which is Stevie in the goat. And so her bringing the dead goat to her husband at the end of the play. And I remember one night we were doing the play, and David Morden, who directed the play, was at the back of the house, and there's lots of screaming in the play, and I got to throw china all over the place, which actually in the cabaret theater above the Temple of Music and Art was the bits of china were going into the audience from them being smashed. It was very visceral. And David Morton was back at the back of the house, and police officers came because they'd had a report of domestic violence. And I remember David Morton saying he saw the police out the door, and he said, "Just a minute," and the police back to him went, "No, not just a minute, come here." And so he had to go out and explain to the police that it was a play going on, but I guess it was very vivid.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like David did his job.
yes, he did.
And had to answer for it.
Exactly.
As an actor, what do you think you bring to the ensemble that's unique to you?
I don't know. What do you think I've heard?
I think you bring a lot of power and a lot of vulnerability and a lot of joy. I think of you as one half Juliet, one half Lady Macbeth.
I'll take
Or
that.
that's often what we've seen. What have you learned as an actor from the other members of the ensemble?
Oh, tons. There are thousands of things that I've learned from the other ensemble members, and that's what's so great about being in a group art. I mean, maybe part of why I never became a visual artist is, it's just you and the canvas. But in the theater, there's constant interchange and constant learning from all the people that you're working with, and that's what's so beautiful about it. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite part of the rehearsal process?
Probably the beginning. There's nothing like sitting down with a group and reading a play for the first time. It's so everything's possible and everything's going to be wonderful, and so the beginning, and that's where so much of discovery happens in those first few weeks.
What's the most challenging role you've played for the Rogue, or roles?
The first thing that comes to mind is Angels in America, playing multiple roles. The rabbi and the doctor were hard, and I find it very challenging to play multiple roles in a play. I would rather play one part and go deeply with that one part rather than playing a lot of different parts.
What's the role you've played for the Rogue that maybe came easiest for you?
Easiest?
Or maybe was the most natural fit?
Well, two things come to mind. One is Linda in Death of a Salesman. I really loved being in that part, and it seemed very natural to me. But then the other part that came to mind was Lady Macbeth, and I really have a soft spot for Lady Macbeth. I really, in some ways, she's like Linda. In that she just wants her husband to do well.
Do you have any kind of pre-show rituals or superstitions?
One thing that I've started doing, well, I've done it for years actually, is I try to find a quiet place backstage and listen to the pre-show music. I will often just sit behind the piano if Russell's playing or whatever, and just listen to the music and kind of calm myself down. It's funny, I know lots of actors need to like get up to do a play, and for me it's like, no, just calm that down a little bit in order to go on stage.
What do you think you have left to learn as an actor, or what are you still learning as you continue to work?
With every new character, like I'm so excited about playing Miss Havisham, or Miss Havisham, I don't know how we're going to pronounce it, but I'm so excited about playing that part because she's not like anybody I recall ever playing before, and so each new character brings a new opportunity to explore a part of myself that I haven't explored before, or a part of humanity that I haven't experienced before. So I'm always learning from my characters.
What advice would you give your 18-year-old self about starting a theater company?
Oh, just keep asking people to play with you. Which is something I've always done and always wanted, is just to have everybody come together and play. I think I knew that when I was 18. I think I had a lot of doubts about my abilities, and I would have just said, well, just wait till you're 50. I don't know if I would have said that. Just keep being who you are and doing what you love.
If the Rogue were to close tomorrow, what would you miss the most?
Oh, I'm gonna start to cry. Everything. I mean, I would miss our audience. I would miss our company acting together. I would miss the plays, all the great plays that we have done and will do yet. Yeah, during the pandemic, it was scary because, was the Rogue gonna close? Were we gonna make it? And I'm sure I would find something else to do, and whatever. But I would miss it all so very much.